You know that feeling?
Oh,
The alarm goes off and bam, you're instantly in this mad dash, getting ready, maybe dealing with kids, your brain's already running through the day's to-do list. It feels like the morning just, happens to you, right? Before you even get that first sip of coffee.
oh, definitely. That morning scramble is incredibly common. So, in this deep dive, we're going to look at a few different perspectives. We've got Laura Vanderkam's book, What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast, a really practical piece from Persona about productive routines, and also some solid advice from Healthline on healthy morning habits.
Right.
And they all kind of circle back to this issue of those chaotic starts to the day.
Exactly. And look, our goal here isn't just to, commiserate about how hectic mornings are. We really want to pull out the useful stuff from these sources, the actual strategies, the ideas that can help you listening right now to actually take back control of that really valuable morning time.
Yeah, we're trying to find those concrete steps, how to build a routine that helps with productivity, sure, but also your health, your general well-being, and importantly, doing it in a way that doesn't just pile on more stress, like finding a smoother launch into the day.
Okay, let's dive in then. One thing that really jumped out at me from Vanderkam's book was just how, well, normal this feeling of morning madness is. She even talks about her own struggles, getting her kids ready and out the door. It's kind of reassuring, isn't it? We're not alone.
Absolutely. And it's pretty telling that even someone who studies time management for a living has been there. It just shows how easily the day-to-day stuff can kind of swamp those early hours. The book also makes this great point. A lot of people do wake up early, but they're not necessarily using that time effectively. They get caught in like reactive mode or just feel rushed.
Right. It's like you drag yourself out of bed early only to immediately get sucked into checking emails or scrolling through social media before you're even fully awake. The Persona article hints at this too, right? Focusing on a productive routine, not just getting up earlier for the sake of it. And Vanderkam really drives home how this constant rush can leave you feeling like you have zero time for the things that actually matter: long-term career development, self-care, even just, connecting with your family.
And that link is fascinating, isn't it? Between
Hmm.
those kind of frantic, maybe unproductive hours and that feeling of always being behind.
Yeah.
The book argues pretty strongly that, well, in this world full of distractions, learning to use mornings intentionally is more crucial than ever. It's about carving out that focused space.
Which brings us to something I found really, really interesting, this idea of willpower. Vanderkam talks about Roy Baumeister's research, explaining that willpower isn't infinite. It's actually a limited resource we use up all day long.
Exactly. Think of it like a muscle, a mental muscle. It gets tired,
Yeah.
fatigues with use. Every choice you make, resisting temptation, it all dips into that willpower reserve.
Okay.
But the good news, as the book points out, is that like a muscle, you can strengthen it. And crucially for this chat, it's generally at its strongest in the morning, right after you've rested.
Ah, okay. See, that's where it clicks for me. If willpower is strongest, then doesn't that make the morning the absolute perfect time for those important but not urgent tasks? You know, the things that really make a difference long term, but always seem to get shoved aside by like the immediate.
Precisely, yeah. Those are the activities that need real focus, real intention, the kind of things that just fall apart later in the day when your willpower's low and you're tired. And that, according to Vanderkam's research, is where successful people often get ahead. They deliberately use those early hours for specific priorities before the day's chaos kicks in.
So, what does that look like, practically speaking? Well, the book breaks it down into three main areas successful people focus on before breakfast. First up, nurturing their careers. And this isn't just about clearing the inbox, right? It's more like strategic thinking, deep work, that kind of stuff that needs quiet, uninterrupted time.
Yeah, the book is this great example of Debbie Moisich, and she apparently saw a huge jump in her productivity just by setting aside those early hours for her most important focused work. It
Mhm.
really shows the power of having that protected time before the meetings and calls start flooding in.
Okay, second area, and this one maybe surprised me a little: nurturing relationships. But it makes sense when you think about it. It's about intentionally making quality time for family.
Hmm.
Vanderkam shares the story of Catherine Beaumont Murphy, who actually redesigned her mornings specifically to have dedicated time with her daughter. It's about making connection a priority, not just hoping it fits in somewhere.
And that's such a key shift, isn't it? It's moving beyond seeing mornings as just uh, logistical hurdles, getting everyone fed and out the door, and seeing them as a real opportunity for connection. Even just a few focused minutes can make a huge difference to the day's tone.
Totally. And the third area is nurturing themselves. So this covers things like exercise, maybe meditation or journaling, creative stuff. The book mentions that morning exercisers tend to be, well, more consistent. Plus, things like meditation can bring that sense of calm and focus for the day ahead.
And that link between self-care and just general effectiveness is so vital. Getting moving can boost your energy, help manage stress, and those quieter practices, they give you mental clarity, maybe a stronger sense of purpose. That feeds into everything else you do, right?
Okay, so we get why mornings matter and what successful folks often do with them. But the big question for, well, for you listening is how do we actually build our own routine? How do we make this happen? Luckily, the book lays out a pretty practical 5-step plan.
Right, this is where we get down to brass tacks. Step one, and this is crucial, track your time. The book really hammers this home. You need an honest look at how you spend your time now. It's kind of like keeping a food diary, but for your hours.
Yeah.
This helps you spot where time's leaking away, or maybe activities that are messing up your mornings without you even realizing it.
Yeah, they had that example of someone realizing how much time late night phone scrolling was costing them, right? Affecting their sleep, their morning energy. You need that baseline first, that honest picture of your habits before
Yeah.
you start changing things.
Exactly. Then, step two, picture the perfect morning. This is the fun part, kind of.
Mm.
You get to dream a little. What would your ideal start look like, feel like? What would actually bring you joy or a sense of accomplishment? Maybe it is a run, or maybe it's just quiet coffee and a book, or working on that passion project. You need a vision that actually pulls you forward.
Okay, step 3 gets practical. Think through the logistics. You've got this amazing vision. Great. But how does it actually slot into your real life? What time do you really need to wake up? What needs to change about your evenings, maybe? Bedtime, responsibilities.
This is the reality check phase. You got to figure out the timing, make sure it fits. It might mean making some choices, some trade-offs,
Yeah.
maybe shifting a chore to the evening or really committing to that earlier bedtime. It's problem-solving time.
Step 4 is where the rubber meets the road. Build the habit. And the big advice here is go slow. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one new thing. Focus on that first. Track how you're doing. Notice the small wins. Maybe give yourself a little reward. The idea is to make it feel good, not like another chore.
That gradual approach is so, so important for sticking with it. If you try to do too much too fast, you just get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then you quit. One habit at a time lets it actually, take root before you add something else.
And the final step, which I think is really key, tune up as necessary. Life changes, right? Your routine needs to be flexible. You need to be willing to tweak it, adapt it as things shift. What works perfectly now might need adjusting in 6 months, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, it underlines that this isn't like a one and done thing. It's an ongoing experiment, really. You're always kind of checking in. Is this still working for me? Is it still helping me reach my goals? It's about continuous improvement.
Now, while Vanderkam's book gives us this great framework for, productivity and fulfillment, we also need to bring in the health angle. And drawing from that Healthline article, it's clear a good morning routine is also just, well, good for you.
Absolutely. Healthline gets into more specifics, maybe.
Yeah.
But the big picture is that a structured morning supports healthier choices all day. Things like making sure you hydrate first thing, being mindful even if breakfast is later, and maybe most relevant to what we were saying earlier,
Yeah,
actively trying to avoid starting the day feeling rushed and stressed.
right.
That structure itself can be a huge stress reducer, can bring a sense of calm.
So wrapping this deep dive up, it feels really clear that mornings, they just hold so much potential. It's this amazing window for focused work, yeah, but also for strengthening relationships, investing in yourself physically, mentally. That morning chaos, it really doesn't have to be the default.
Yeah, by being intentional about your morning, designing a routine, even starting super small, just one tiny change,
Yeah.
you can really see big improvements in productivity, sure, but also just how you feel about your life. Remember those 5 steps. Track your time, picture your ideal, figure out the logistics, build the habits slowly, and then, keep adjusting it.
Exactly. And maybe a final thought for you to chew on. Think about those important but not urgent things in your life, the ones you keep meaning to get to. What's just one small thing you could realistically carve out morning time for? Something that might seem tiny day to day but could add up, could compound into really significant growth over time. It's worth thinking about how grabbing hold of your mornings could seriously change your days.